Hey everybody, I'm Suni. Thanks for joining me for about a half hour of calming practice. And let's just start there first. So take in a deep breath, pause, and let that air out. Breathing in again on your natural rate. Breathe a little more deeply than you usually do. Pause and let that air back out. Continue breathing at your rate, knowing that when you breathe more deeply, you're triggering your central nervous system with the message that everything's okay. When you're feeling anxious or stressed, we often think in our heads that we have to calm ourselves down. And the truth is, the calming can come from within. The calming can come from your nervous system. So if you're not a meditator, you just learned the most important first step ever. Take that deep breath. So let's practice just a bit, and then we'll get into a little bit of teaching tonight. If you haven't meditated before, it's just calming practices. It's nothing complicated. So settle in for just a few minutes here. I just want you to start off calm, because I want me to start off calm too. So let your eyes drift close if you can. Looking at me is not part of the meditative practice. And just turn your attention to your breath. Breathing in fully and letting the air back out when you're ready. When you inhale, notice the coolness of the air flowing in through your nose. And when you exhale, notice that gentle feeling of letting go. As you breathe in the next time you do, understanding that we want you to let your chest, ribs expand, belly expand. We're filling our lungs with air, not forcefully, just making room for lots of air. Our intention in meditation is simply to keep your mind in the present moment. Because as you are sitting here and breathing, you are okay. The breath is telling your nervous system you're okay, so it can settle down. And you can develop the habit of taking a few deep breaths and reminding yourself that you are okay. Okay from the point of view that you are fed and clothed, housed, you're loved, you're appreciated. And even if there are things in your world that are not as you wish, right now, in this very moment we're spending together, we are okay. Don't fight with that one. Just accept it. At this moment, you're okay. And I want you just to try to keep your mind in this moment, gently, breathing deeply. And when your mind wanders off to whatever you were worrying about before we started, just gently call it back like you'd call a 3-year-old you love. Come on back. This is what we're doing right now. Breathing in and breathing out. A good way to just reset. you struggle keeping your mind in this moment, imagine you're breathing in calm or whatever you need right now. Peace, joy. And on the exhale, imagine you're letting go of your worry or your frustration or whatever emotion might be trying to drag your brain off from this moment. And if you've never done this before, yeah, it's like herding cats, I know. Meditation is a practice, and in this practice it gets easier as we go on. But your only job is to sit still tonight. You can do this practice walking, you can even do this practice driving. But you simply turn your attention within. You breathe in deeply and then let the air go. Keep your attention in this moment and remind yourself that you are okay. In and out. Focusing on now. And now if your eyes were drifted closed, bring them back open and join me here. So our goal in this gathering, we call it ReSet, Meditation in Recovery. Recovery doesn't necessarily mean you're part of a 12-step program and are in recovery from a addictive substance. You could be recovering from a big loss. You could be recovering from a long-term struggle with an emotion, anger. You could be in grief. There's lots of things that we need to recover from. And right now with this virus situation, we're all adjusting to big change. But if you are someone who is dealing with recovery from a substance, I formed this group, this class, as there's a team behind me, even though you don't see them. And there's 4 women who are in recovery, in 12-step recovery. And if you are here seeking specific help with a substance abuse issue, either Michaela, Tina, Meg, or Jade are also here with us watching. And if you need a referral to a meeting or help with a sponsor, help with a 12-step question, just note in the comments below and one of them will touch base with you. Okay. The program, I use a protocol that is called Mindfulness Workbook for Addiction. And I'm using this proven protocol just so we can progress. So often in meditation groups, we always start back at step 1. And in this group, I wanted us to have the opportunity, even though we're not all here every week, the opportunity to progress into deeper meditation. So if you've never meditated and we're done tonight, you think, I need to learn some more basic practices, there's 2 YouTube videos on my YouTube channel called Basic Meditation 1 and 2. I think the first one's 15 minutes, the second one might be a half hour. But they're just that repetitive practice of some of the basic things we'll do here tonight. So thanks for joining us. I'm so glad you're here. Tonight's topic is a continuation of last week where we started talking about emotions. And if you were here with us last week, I had so many technical problems that I was the one who was having emotional issues. So tonight, it's like I hope to take you a little further and we'll hopefully make a little more progress. Many of us struggle with emotions during stressful times in our life because sometimes emotions aren't modeled well for us as kids. We might have grown up in a family where emotions ran wild all the time, or like me, I grew up in a family where my mom wanted us not too happy, not too sad, just keep it somewhere in the middle. And I learned to, do what I was supposed to do. But emotions aren't like that. They are a huge roller coaster. And part of the beauty of meditation is it gives you a tool to help you ride that roller coaster without losing it. And so the workbook, and we're starting there just to help you to begin exploring. And the a little stuttering, that's going to happen a lot here. So as we had that first little seated practice here, I asked you to watch your mind, and when it wandered off, to call it back. Watching your mind may be something you've never thought about, but in meditation, we take the role kind of as an observer, and we watch what our mind does. As an observer, I can watch my mind begin getting anxious about something. I can observe that. I can take the role of the reporter and just take note of it. The difference is, if I were a reporter reporting out this traumatic event that's going on, I'm not going to stand in front of the camera and be like, oh my God, because that's not how reporters work. They report on what's going on. This is the facts. This is what I see. This is what I know is causing this. I can evaluate this and that. A reporter is a little bit stepped back. And in meditation, a very powerful tool is to learn to be the observer of your mind. Many people, especially in our hemisphere in the West, go through their whole life thinking they are their mind. That's me. And so when emotion comes up and starts carrying us off, we feel like we haven't, what could I do? Meditation gives us tools so that we can remember that we are capable of paying attention to what our mind is doing and redirecting it. So as we sat at the beginning of this little practice and I asked you to call your mind back, that's just the basic beginning of paying attention to what your mind is doing and making another suggestion. So as a reporter, as an observer, I'm going to ask you to think about your day-to-day and think of some things you are grateful for. And if today is like I'm a little stressed finding something to be grateful for today, then I'll give you a couple days. But think of life recently, even though there's all this change going on and this pandemic issue going on. Can you find things that you're grateful for? And I know you can. Whether it's your dog or your kids or the fact that you still have work, the fact that there's food at home, maybe your friends and you're changing your relationship because you can't get together anymore, but they're still there for you. So think about what you're grateful for right now. And when you think about what you're grateful for, how does it make you feel? Good. So for tonight, I want to use whatever you came up with that you're grateful for. We're going to call that our home base, okay? So often in meditation, I'll use just that feeling of deep breathing as home base. So when your mind starts wandering, call it back to home base. But because we're talking about emotions tonight, I wanted you to have an emotional home base. So whatever that thing is that you're feeling grateful for, that's your home base tonight. So feel that feeling of what you're grateful for without paying attention to anything else that's going on. And just think of it and then feel how your body feels. Okay? Now, in these next practices, we're going to explore emotions a little bit. what we're going to explore is first a little bit identifying what emotion am I having as the observer. The observer is very different from seeing yourself as your mind. If I start getting anxious about one of my triggers, it's like, oh no, here it comes. It's so big, and it used to just take me away. Now I can feel that trigger coming, and I have tools to use to step back from it. I can see it coming. Why are you feeling anxious? Well, maybe I'm feeling anxious because of this. Maybe I haven't eaten. Maybe it's an anxious situation, and that's okay. But when we start dealing with more uncomfortable emotions, it's very possible to feel two things at once. And so if a negative emotion is rising, if I can't step back as the reporter and say, okay, why is this happening? Is this valid? Is it not valid? What can we do about it? Is this a situation we just have to accept? And if we start feeling ourselves getting swept away with that emotion, that's when you pull up this gratitude thing, the feeling of gratitude, because you can hold two emotions at the same time. And that's the exercise for tonight. So everything is not black or white. It's not all or nothing. If I'm feeling anxious, if I'm feeling a craving, I can also remind myself of all the good that's in my life. It doesn't make this anxiousness go away. It doesn't make the craving go away, but it empowers me a little bit to realize, yes, I have this negative thing, but this part of me is okay too, and it creates more of a balance, and I'm able to usually stand and be supportive of myself longer. So grab your gratitude. Check the time. Okay. And we're going to then do another practice. So I wish we were still together. It was so easier to go, you got any questions? Yeah, no, well, hope you don't. If you do, always put them in the comments. I can't read them now because my brain gets off track, but I will read the comments later. And if you need an answer about some meditation issue, I'll sure get back to you, okay? All right. Yes, I have notes in front of me. All right. So again, settle back into your seated position or lying down, wherever you are. Take that deep breath and let's start again. Let your eyes close if you can, and breathe in deeply. Pause and let it out. We're doing the same thing as we did before, keeping our attention in this moment. And we're just enjoying that feeling of breath. Breathing in and breathing out. And when the mind wanders, gently call it back. Never feel frustrated for your mind wandering. Minds wander half the time. It's not you. As we practice meditation in time, it will wander less. But I've been doing meditation for many, 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 many years, and sometimes it's hard for me. Just depends on the day. So settle in. And I always like to start with reminding you that there is support below you and above you. So for a moment, turn your attention or your imagination to the earth that is beneath you. You may not be sitting directly on the earth, but the floor of the building, the foundation of the building reaches deep down into the earth. The earth is so large, strong, it's nurturing, it is the source of food, life for many creatures on the planet. And you are connected to it. So allow your attention, your energy, your imagination to put your roots deep down into that soil for a moment so that you know you are connected to what is strong and huge and solid. This practice of grounding yourself to the earth can be very calming too. And sometimes if I'm in a situation, imagine I'm in a meeting and I start to feel a little off base, I, without closing my eyes, simply send my imagination, my roots down into the ground, and it anchors me, makes me feel better. So you're grounded below to what is heavy and strong. And now turn your attention to what is above. And you may be in a room like I am, but above the ceiling, above the roof is the sky. Kind of the yan for if the earth is heavy and large and anchoring, what is above is just the opposite. Light and free. The sun. You may see a spiritual aspect of what is above. However you view spirit, that's an individual thing. You may see the sun up there as the source of all power. You may imagine your ancestors up there. And you might just picture the universe, the source, maybe God, whatever you're comfortable with. That's the above. So below is heavy and mothering and nurturing and something to hang on to, and above is something you can hang on to also, but in such a different way. So you are anchored below and above at all times. Just savor that feeling for a moment. Breathing in and breathing out. And now call back to attention that thing that made you smile a little earlier, that thing you're grateful for. Just breathe that gratitude in and let it fill your body, and maybe it'll even make you smile a little. And that's your home base feeling. Now hold on to that emotion while I ask you to also consider a negative or a painful emotion that you dealt with recently. And I'm not suggesting you pull up your biggest, baddest mother, but something that bothered you today. We're just learning this practice. Something that irritated you or put you off or maybe pissed you off for a bit. And as a reporter, just bring that emotion up. Don't throw yourself into it and roll around into it. Just observe that emotion of anger or frustration or anxiety or grief or whatever yours is. And just acknowledge it. Mine was fear today. Yes, there was fear. Is it real? All your emotions are real. You do not have to choose to act out on them, but they're there. You also don't have to throw yourself in there and wallow around in there for a long time. But acknowledging them is important. You may want to say, was that emotion real? Was it well-founded? Is there anything I could do to relieve it? And as you think about that emotion that's negative, as the reporter, if you start feeling yourself getting swept away by it, reach back and pull your gratitude back in. Just switch that channel. It doesn't make the grief, fear, anger go away. It kind of makes it take its turn in line. It makes it wait a minute. And you then breathe that gratitude back in until you get yourself settled back, grounded in the earth. And then if you choose to then face that negative emotion again, as a reporter, as an observer, just to be aware. It never serves us to deny our emotions, to say, well, you shouldn't feel that. There's a big misconception. But in this practice of meditation, as we deal with recovery, owning our emotions is so important, but also being able to stand and face them without being blown away by them. They're simply emotions, and you can respond to them in any way you wish. You can choose your response to the emotion. And now, wherever you are between a negative one and a much more warm and fuzzy one, pull the warm and fuzzy one back in for a minute and get yourself settled. And I'm going to go through a list from the book. And I'm just going to ask you to explore these emotions as a reporter, as an observer. Don't throw yourself into them. How would you feel if you found $5 in the pocket of your jeans that you didn't know was there? How would you feel if you forgot your mom's birthday? You're just observing. You haven't done this. You might have done it. I've done it. But we're just exploring a range of emotions and learning to stand in the middle and observe them. What if I got lost in a neighborhood I don't know? How do I feel? How do I feel when I see the full moon? It is a full moon tonight. How do I feel if my favorite team wins the Super Bowl? How do I feel when I finish a project at work? How do I feel if my car breaks down? As an observer, as a reporter, I could feel that energy. Whoa. How do I feel when I wake up from a bad dream in the middle of the night? The point in this experience in meditation is to just get us used to the fact that we have many, many emotions. And some of them don't feel good, but they're there and they're real. Can we weather them without feeling the need to throw ourselves in and be swept away? Or can we weather them without indulging our favorite method of escaping from emotions? Because many times, especially substance abuse issues, have a lot to do with escaping from emotions. So now, settle back in, let your emotions take both the happy one and whatever upsetting one you are dealing with. Imagine we're sitting in front of a river and take both those emotions and just lay them in the water and watch them float away. And for these last few minutes, I just want you to sit in peace, breathing in and breathing out. Every time you pause and breathe deeply, you are bringing in not only oxygen and calming signals for your body, you are bringing in life force energy. You're bringing in chi or prana. And as you breathe that in, it nourishes your body. It fuels you. And when you breathe out, it does not leave. So take these last few minutes and just enjoy pulling in that energy, that nourishing, nurturing energy, that bright, empowering, strengthening energy. And as you are filled with this energy, which is always available to you, always, take a bit of it and send it off to someone you know is in need. Could be someone who's dear to you, and it could be someone you don't even know. I'll send energy to all the people who are struggling with this virus right now. May they be empowered. And now, if your eyes were closed, bring them back open again. Here we are. So tonight's practice was about emotions and just helping you become more familiar with the idea that emotions will rise. I know what to do with them. Taking the time in the morning to remind yourself of that thing you're grateful for. Pausing at some point in the day and saying, I need to take a deep breath and calm down. That's your homework until next week. That's your homework until forever. You don't have to take a half hour to do it. You don't even need 5 minutes. If you just take a minute and make yourself practice pulling your attention into this moment, reminding yourself that you're okay, and breathe. So thank you very much for joining me. May you use these tools to help you calm. The calmer you are, the more powerful your immune system can be. So this stuff is good for you. Anything else? I don't know what else to say. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There is great power within you. And the power and wisdom within me reaches out to that power and wisdom within you. Now is the time for you to connect with that. You are strong and healthy and capable and learning some new skills to make that all even be more so in your life. So thank you for joining me. I wish you all the best. Be well.